Welcome back to Whisky Wins with me, Stuart. Today, going to talk about my recent trip to Campbeltown with the TAIBS guys, TAPSAF International Bottle Split, which is our little bottle split group, compiled of 7 members, and only 6 of us could make it this time, unfortunately. However, we went to Campbeltown. Bart, one of our members, who actually is the I pretty much in the group's acronym, International, he travelled from the Netherlands. He arrived about on, I think it was the 15th, and he was doing the entire way, which is basically a walk on that peninsula of Scotland down to Campbeltown. So we met up, 5 of us met up in Inverary, and we stayed in a hostel on the Wednesday night. We were in a George Hotel for food and some whiskies, and they had an elaborate number of whiskies there. A lot of kind of Adelphi and Ardnamurchan stuff. I think they've got a good connection with them. There was a lot of good Thompson Bros stuff as well. So yeah, we had a few drams in there, some Guinness as well, and then we made our way on the Thursday to Campbeltown to meet up with Bart and to also begin our Campbeltown experience. So the first stop was What Whisky, and I probably should have, well, they don't actually sell bottles there, but I probably should have picked up a What Whisky bottle whilst I was in Campbeltown. I've got 2, I think, still sealed in the cupboard, so I think that's kind of what stopped me from buying more. I need to get through whiskey. It's just terrible. It's a good problem to have though. But yeah, we went and seen What Whisky, and they were absolutely fantastic. Such great hosts, and if you are ever down there, get in touch, because yeah, they couldn't have made us feel more welcome. And honestly, what a way to start the trip. We started on such a high. At one point when we were there, I was kind of skeptically thinking to myself, there's no way it can get better. But anyway, we had spent some time with them, and then we headed to Glen, Scotia, where we had a tour and a dunnage tasting. And unfortunately, a complete contrast. The tour itself, due to the fact they were getting their mash tun renewed or replaced, not renewed, they were actually getting it fully replaced. They couldn't allow us to tour the distillery, so the alternative was you got taken to 2 different warehouses that you don't normally see, and you also got to try their new make and their heavily peated new make. Now let me tell you, their heavily peated new make, or their peated new make, probably not heavily peated, but their peated new make was lovely. The new make was fine, but their peated new make was something else. And then we went and done the warehouse dunnage tasting, which was a bit of a letdown. No fault of I think the tour guide we had was Greg, he was great. No fault of the tour guide or anything like that, but just the drams. The first dram was a bourbon, Glen, Scotia, which was pretty nice. I believe the second one was an Oloroso, which was average. The third was a PX, which was pretty average. The fourth was matured in a red wine for 5 or 6 years, and it was so drying that my palate just couldn't take it, and I don't think any other guys could take it too well. And the last dram was quite an aged bourbon, and an old Glen, Scotia, which was quite nice as well, and probably my favourite. Probably the first dram or the last dram, the 2 bourbons were my favourite. The rest just didn't really hit the mark for me, and we all kind of left the warehouse tasting feeling a little bit deflated, due to the fact that we couldn't tour it, even though we kind of said, oh, there's no chance, but health and safety was the excuse, which is fine. But also, yeah, the dunnage experience just wasn't that great. But luckily that was the low part of the journey. So yeah, the Friday, so that was the Thursday. The Friday we had Springbank tour, which I'd previously done. Our tour guide was Marcus, he was great. And also we had the Kilkerran Warehouse tasting. I'm just going to brush past the Springbank tour because I've done it before, and it's just a distillery tour.
How dare you!
Obviously it's a kind of different to other distilleries because of the way they do things, but the Kilkerran Warehouse tasting, man, that was probably for me the highlight of the trip. So yeah, absolutely fantastic. We had Joyce doing the tasting, and she was just superb. She handled us all pretty well. We were pretty giddy, obviously. These 6 guys coming in to do this tasting, our levels were a bit high, but she was fantastic with us. So yeah, I ended up buying Let me see what the number 1 is. Yeah, so I ended up buying the first cask, not the full cask, I wish, but it was a refill bourbon barrel, distilled in April 2006 and bottled in 2024. So it's 13-year-old, 18-year-old, I can't count. It's 18-year-old, 59.3% ABV, and this cost me £60. It's a 35cl, but goddamn, blown away. I absolutely love that cask. And obviously you're getting to taste it in the warehouse. There was charcoal in it, there was bits of wood. It was just lovely. A fantastic experience, especially when you're surrounded by all these Springbank and Kilkerran casks. But yeah, this was pretty much the highlight for me. I did end up buying another bottle, but we'll get down to what the other casks were. So you get a little warehouse tasting card to write some notes and also pick which bottles you want. So yeah, Joyce let us know the prices beforehand as well, so she gave us a rundown of the price, but that didn't really influence me. I think the most expensive one was the second cask, which was a 19-year-old Kilkerran refill bourbon, and that was, I think, maybe £80 for a bottle. That was really good, really tasty. It had a brilliant nose, but for some reason I fell in love with this over that, so I only went for this one in the bourbon category. The third cask was another fresh bourbon, really enjoyable, but like I said, this was the one for me. The fourth was basically their 8-year-old cask strength port that they done a couple years ago. I don't know if it was a sister cask, but that was how it was described to us. It was basically the 8-year-old cask strength. However, they had then, it was a port pipe 2013 to 2020, and then they put it into a bourbon barrel. So it was matured in the port and then put into a bourbon for a finish, if you will, with bourbon. And this just, tablet. It was like tablet or fudge, something like that on the nose. It was just, it was just great. And that was only £30. Only £30. I should have bought 2. I don't know if you were allowed to, but yeah, I really enjoyed that. So that was cask number 4. Cask number 5 was a refill sherry hogshead, which was really funky, quite funky. I think that was £30 as well. I think the rest of them were £30, number 5 and number 6. The 5th cask, like I said, refill sherry hogshead, and then the 6th cask was a fresh bourbon, and it was 9-year-old. However, like I said, out of the bourbons, I thought the 18-year-old was my favourite, and I thought it was the best. So yeah, I walked away with these two. 60 and £30, so that was £90 spent purely on Kilkerran. When we arrived as well, the Springbank shelf for Springbank 18 was full. So when we arrived on the Thursday, we went in on Thursday morning to the shop, and I don't know how many. There must have been about 30 bottles, possibly 40 bottles of this just sitting on the shelf. And I said to myself, I'm not going to rush into it. I don't need it. I don't need to buy it. But as we went in on the Friday, the shelves were dwindling, and then finally when we went in on the Saturday, which I'll get to as well, when we went in the Saturday, there was nothing there. There was a handful of bottles. So I decided, FOMO kicked in. I decided to buy a bottle of this as well. So that was £110. So you've got £190 there just in those 3 bottles. Obviously, it's a bit disjointed. I should have kept in chronological order. But on the Thursday when we arrived, I did buy a cage bottle at £80, so that's £200 in total for these bottles. I believe 200. What did I say? 60, 30, 90, 200. Oh, sorry, 80. Yeah, 280. So yeah, £80 for this. I didn't see myself going for a long row until I seen the Palo Cortado. So yeah, I've got the 10-year-old Springbank Palo Cortado opened, and that's funky, and I'm really enjoying that. So I'm hoping this is going to be quite similar, and it'll be interesting to put them two together and see how they compete. But yeah, this is 15-year-old, 57.4% ABV, and as soon as we arrived on the Thursday, this is what I picked up from the cage. I'm looking forward to that. Didn't try it, obviously. I tried these two, haven't tried the 18, but tried that. So we'll get back to the Saturday. So the Saturday, our final day there, if you will, we came back on the Sunday, but our final day for drinking. So the Saturday we had the Cadenhead Warehouse tasting, or Cadenhead's Warehouse tasting as people in Campbeltown say. We were getting in trouble for saying Cadenhead's.
What did you say?
But yeah, Cadenhead's Warehouse tasting. So this was pretty good. I'm trying to think what her name was. It was Lorna. We had Lorna. She was superb as well. We had the first cask was a Glenrothes. It was a blend, a Glenrothes. It was a blended malt, Glenrothes, Dalyuen, and maybe Glenburgie. But I'm actually a little bit. I was kind of struggling on the Saturday after the epic Friday haul that we had with the Kilkerrans. So Saturday was a little bit of a blur. But once I started getting that cask strength whiskey down me, it was a bit better. The first one, yeah, like I say, was that blend. I think the second might have been a Glenburgie. I can't remember the cask for the life of me. They didn't give me a sheet. If they had a sheet, I would have remembered. But I know there was a Glenburgie. There was a Glengarry, which was done in Madeira, quite funky. It didn't really sit that well with me. I wasn't enjoying it too much. But some of the other guys actually bought a bottle of it. And there was an Ardmore, which I'm not a fan of Ardmore at all. Well, peated Ardmore, I really struggle with Ardmore for some reason as a distillery. But yes, Matt, he's quite an Ardmore fan, he enjoyed that. And what else was there? Anyway, the final cask, which we all kind of guessed, we all pretty much hit the nail on the head, was this Bunnahabhain. It was a Scotia, however you want to say it, a refill, but 60.2% ABV, 9-year-old. It didn't feel like, I mean, we had cask strength whiskies up until that point, but we were also kind of a bit rough, but this did not feel like 60.2% ABV. It's just lovely, just typical Scotia, typical Bunnahabhain, it's what you want. So that was £70, which I think is a bargain for that kind of whiskey, and you also get to see, which is different if you've done the warehouse tasting before. They normally have the bottles bottled in the shop, but now what they do is they actually just draw it from the cask and bottle it right in front of you, or they at least pour it into the bottle and show you. They don't do the cork, the lid, or the label. They just pour the whiskey into the bottle for you right in front of you. So that was pretty cool. So yeah, I got that, and I also picked up 2 Handfills. Hazelburn, which is the 6th of August, it was bottled. I was trying to get one that was the 5th of August because that's my birthday, but I couldn't see any, so I got the 6th of August. But it's a Hazelburn, bottled at 57.2% ABV, and then I also got a Springbank, 14th of August, 56.8% ABV. These are £25 each, which I think's brilliant value for money, especially for a handful Springbank of any type. I'll just try to see this cork. This cork looks like it's lifting. Yeah, so I think it's great value for money. I think the Springbank 18 at 110, yeah, I think that's even good value for money. It's difficult because prices are rising, but these seem to be well priced. I feel probably the most expensive was the 18-year-old Kilkerran at £60 for 35cl. That is a little bit expensive, but what a delight it was, an absolute treat. So yeah, I ended up spending in total, I think this all comes to about £400. So that's what I spent purely on whiskey, or purely on bottles. We were in the Washback Bar. If you're in there, if you're in Campbeltown, definitely get to the Washback Bar. They've got some great drams there. I think I tried the Kilkerran Open Day 20-year-old. That was absolutely lovely. Tried that in there. Tried a fair few drams. Too many to count and too many to remember. But yeah, the one that really stood out for me, it was this Kilkerran. The Scotia, lovely. It is Scotia. There's not much difference between other Scotias. It's good, it's quality. It's more the experience, the sentiment. That's why I kind of purchased that, but it's a Scotia, you know what that tastes like. However, the Kilkerran, just lovely stuff. I'm almost tempted to crack it now if I'm not already full of whiskey. I'm on a hiatus from whiskey because that was a lot of whiskey at the weekend. That's why I've got the coffee here. Anyway, I hope that was somewhat interesting, intriguing. I'll try and put some pictures together as well to show you But yeah, what a fantastic weekend. It was great to spend times with the TAIBS guys. Great to have a little bit of a laugh, let your hair down, even though I've already hair. But yeah, so yeah, thanks for watching. I've been Stuart, this has been Whisky Wins. I'll see you later.